And we are live. I am Adam. This is Highly Articulated. I lost track of time, so I apologize if anybody's been waiting. Where does the time go? As it turns out, I realized that the clock that I was looking at in our kitchen was actually a couple minutes slow. Technical difficulties, but we're here now. We're hanging out. We're going to go over some news, some toy news. As we normally do. I'm flying solo today because I didn't want to incriminate anybody with my soapbox rant that I will save for the last 5 minutes of the show. The clickbaity nature of the thumbnail and the title today. I've been sort of sitting back, listening to collectors, listening to people talk. And it just sort of got to the point where I just wanted to sort of throw my 2 cents in. Don't worry, it's going to be about as edgy as an orange because that's just not my nature. But that's basically what will sort of come out. I think when I rant, it's going to be very disappointing. If you're here for anger and vitriol, you're in the wrong place, and this is the wrong channel. If you watch me before, you know that's just not my thing. Toys should be fun. Toys are fun. Let's get right into it. And I'm going to start off with something that I'm starting off with this because this is interesting to me. It's exciting to me, and it's sort of come up a few times recently that I'm not the only nerd that collects and builds Gundam model kits. So this is a new model kit. I don't even know when this comes out because I don't pay attention to the news very well as far as Gundam kits are concerned, because they're very rarely hard to get. They're readily available and easy to get. The weird thing is it was hard finding photos for this that were sort of consistent in one place. These are from a little Gundam shop out of Vancouver called I Build Robots, or what's their other? They have two names. So the website is ibuildrobots.ca, but you can also look them up as Show Me What You Bought, B-O-T as in robot. Just really cool couple that run a small shop out of Vancouver. Friendly, good people, and I like to buy kits from them as often as I can. But anyway, the Bandai real grade Gundam Wing Epion kit, which is just such a badass looking kit with the sort of burgundy and sort of dark midnight navy, that giant beam saber, which is a little bit different. The wing beam sabers tend to be a little bit different than like your typical Gundam beam sabers, but it's a real grade. So if you're not familiar with Gundam model kits, real grade is sort of a category that has like crazy amounts of engineering built in. They're 1/144th scale. So they stand about 4 to 5 inches tall, depending on sort of what the sort of scaled size is. So they're quite small, but the amount of details is absolutely incredible on these. And you can see he's got his sort of whip that extends out there. He's got his beam saber. Those wings sort of fold down and fold in. There's the back view. with the whip kind of folded into, so man, just so much dynamic posing and sort of shaping and engineering with this. It looks like they're doing some really cool stuff with the engineering to give him the ability to raise his arm, like, double handed sort of above the head sword raising pose, so on and so forth. I could read all these details and be more specific, but I'm not going to bother. The articulation in the joints is incredible on these. I've been talking about these the last couple of days, which is kind of why I like, which is why I'm including this. I don't talk about Gundam kits a lot because it's not really, it's a different kind of collecting. You buy the kits, you build them, and then you do whatever you want with them. But there's not as much crossover. But you can see there, like the wings, how the wings fold down, right? The little detail where like the panels of the wings fold down, fold back up. Like, this thing is gonna be such a fun build and such a great looking kit on the shelf. And then they're just highlighting some of the other articulation, some of the other engineering. But that's the first little bit of news. That's the first little bit of toy sharing. I got a few more, but I'll jump into the comments here quickly, and we'll go from there. What's going on, Quip? Quip says, I'll be back in 15 for the airing of the grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Payne's Toy Sample says, what's up? Ken says, love the thumbnail. I was late. Forgive me. Payne says, do we wear him out? And he needed a power nap. No, I probably do need a power nap, but I will save that till later. After this, it's movie time with my kids, so maybe I'll nap while we're watching the movie. That's kind of my sneaky strategy. Allison Troy is hanging out. JMax77 is hanging out. AI Collectibles. Right, that was an AI. Sorry, I read that totally wrong. It's Austin. Average Guy Collects. Man, maybe I am too tired to be doing this. Austin says, I can get angry if you like. Austin says, I just panel lined my Acid Storm, a Secret Transformer model kit. Yeah, and that's, panel lining, you can kind of do as much or as little as you want. With the real great kits, you typically don't have to do as much because there's so much detail in them. They're just so awesome. Still need to build Nemesis Prime and Leo Prime. Payne says, there's nothing wrong with models. Lots of people do them. Now I have zero patience for them, but they can be very cool. I have zero time for them is what happens. I got a huge backlog. I have lots of patience for them because I find that they're very relaxing to build. It's the anxiety is finding the time to sit down and spend a couple hours on it and sort of go from there. Kelly says, hello, Resident Victim is here. I think everybody's a little bit guilty of it sometimes, but we'll get there. JMax says, those look great, but I feel my lack of skill would be an issue. The truth is, with Gundam models, you don't really need any skill. You need a couple of tools. You spend about $20 on the tools that you need. You can spend $200 on the tools if you want. You can spend more than that. The end result on a Gundam kit is sort of how much effort you put in. Most of them, to be honest, now, like current Gundam models, if you just snap the parts out and put them together, they look fantastic. If you use proper nippers and cut the pieces out properly, buff them a little bit, put them together, and then just clear coat them, they look phenomenal. Just the clear coat alone is a step that really kind of elevates them above just sort of that plastic look. But you know what? Do your thing. There's lots of people that just snap build them. They don't even bother with nub marks or anything like that. They don't worry about that. And if any of those words didn't make sense, that's fine. It's you don't need to know all those words to build one. They're fun. I would strongly recommend, if anybody's thinking about getting a Gundam kit to build, grab one of the entry grade kits. On the box it'll say EG. They're cheap, They look fantastic. They're quick and easy to build. And if you enjoy it, you might want to go, you know, a little deeper. The high grade kit or a master grade kit or a real grade kit, whatever you want. I mean, it's a slippery slope though. And let's be honest, I think most of us that are toy collecting probably don't have a lot of extra cash to jump into what is effectively a different hobby, a new hobby as well. So Eternian Ellipse is here. Good to see you. Payne says, between Lego collecting and models, some very similar dynamics. Yes, yes. There's sort of patience, following of instructions. It's like rhythmic, and you know, it's just it's a nice pace. Whether it's Lego or building a model kit. Although I do know people that rush through both of them just because they just want to get to the end result, and then that's probably a different experience. Kelly says 10 out of 10 recommend seeing the movie 65. Interesting. It looks fun. I hadn't seen any reviews. I typically don't read reviews until after I've seen a movie to see if they confirm how I felt or completely disagree with me. But Austin says, I think this is the perfect time to build Nemesis Prime. Build and watch this. There you go. There you go. That's I gave you the weekend off so that you can hang out and relax and build a model kit. Austin says, I've been told I have very proper nippers. I love the entry kits. I've built many Zaku's back in the day. Yeah, the Zaku's are great. And if you don't know what that is, that's cool. But they're basically like the main bad guy in the sort of Universal Century universe. There's also multiple universes within Gundam. So it does get confusing, and it can, I mean, but if you like to build, you know, mecha models, grab one and have fun. That's what it's all about. It's all about having fun. We'll come back to that later. All right, so we're caught up in the chat. Let's jump back in to the next item on toy news, and we'll go through the news, and then I'll rant, and we'll probably have a quick video today because I'm by myself, so there's nobody to distract me like Austin, who always makes it hard to do just an hour. I'm just kidding, Austin. You're great. You're always welcome. Like I said, I didn't want to incriminate anybody with this one. So this is SH Figure Arts. This guy's up for pre-order. This is Android 19 from Dragon Ball Z. I love the Android saga. This guy just looks like a really, really fun, really cool figure. There he is with his sort of energy sapping hand and his just kind of wild, crazy expression. That, you know, the basic profile of the figure. He's a chunky boy. He's not super tall, but he is very wide. And I really like the sculpt that they've done on the legs. I think maybe it looks a little bit weird, sort of right at the top of the legs, right at the hip. But other than that, the sculpt looks really, really good with his long, pointy shoes and stuff. And the expressions that they've included are great. They even included the sort of forearms after his hands effectively get ripped off, and his little hat gets knocked off, so you can see his little robot brain thing, or his android brain. I guess he's not a robot. He's an android. There's a difference. What is it? I don't know, but that's, you know. There he is in sort of a more dynamic pose. The sculpting on the legs looks good, that they've sort of included the sort of stripy texture to his pants through the knee. Like right here. This looks really good. I'm really curious to see what this guy's going to look like in hand. I'm not 100% sold on this figure yet. I love Android 16, 17, and 18. 19 and 20 do a little bit less for me. You know, they you know, this is up for pre-order now. Dr. Giraud has been shown and revealed. But the 16, 17, and 18 were sort of like musts in my collection. This guy in Giraud, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It looks fantastic, and he's gonna look so good. Like, to have them all on a shelf, all the androids together, would look fantastic. It's just too much stuff. There's just too much stuff. He does, of course, come with an extra face for Vegeta as well, from that very iconic scene, Vegeta's feet in his face, and then I think that's almost sure that that's the same scene where his hands get ripped off. So pretty iconic, pretty cool looking. There's there's so many great figure lines out there in Dragon Ball. The SH Figure Arts Dragon Ball line is one that I really love. I can't buy everything. I don't need to buy everything. I mean, there's definitely releases that don't interest me as much, whether they're from like a saga that I didn't necessarily like, or one of the series that I didn't necessarily. Who am I kidding? I love all the. I even love GT, but I'm just trying to think of an example of one that I passed on. There's not many that I pass on recently. And yeah, I can't think of one. Oh, the Cell, first form Cell. I did not pick up the first form Cell. First form, and the Frieza, first form, second form, third form, I didn't pick up. I picked up final form. If they re-released Gold, I might pick that one up too. But Master Versal Toy Hunter is here. What is going on? Eldor, Payne's Toy Sample says, curious about balancing. Balancing the Gundam kit or the figure arts? I think the figure arts would be pretty easy to balance. That Gundam kits tend to be pretty well balanced too. Plus they're robots, so they don't really have to work within sort of normal physical world rules because they're fake, they're made up. Oz is here as well. What's going on? The figure arts, I think he's going to pose pretty well. I think there's a lot of center of gravity sort of in his waist down, which is good news because he should be able to balance pretty well, would be my guess. Not 100% certain, but anyway. Moving on to the next little bit of information. So the Four Horsemen Studios have now revealed all of the figures in the third wave of Cosmic Legions. Forgive me. Cosmic is a line that I'm not crazy about it. There hasn't been anything just yet that's sort of pulled me in. I love my Mythic Legions, and I'm still buying plenty of those. But the Cosmic stuff just hasn't hit for me just yet. I'm tempted. Admittedly, I am tempted by Alter Silovius for the soft goods. Those CJ Jessam soft goods with the sort of toga thing, or the wrap thing, plus the, let's bring them up just to sort of take a closer look. The Greyborn, the alien figure, it doesn't do anything for me. It looks great. There's great sculpting going on. It's a great looking figure, but it's not a figure that I need. However, these soft goods look phenomenal in the fact that I suspect, because they're CJ Jessam designs, I suspect they're all wired. They've all got different textures. Do I justify buying a figure because I just want the soft goods? I guess I could sell the figure off. Somebody probably wants more Greyborns, more aliens. But look at the texture. Now, I hope that translates. Like, I hope they can sort of get that feeling of that texture when they get into production. You get a different texture on all three of the soft goods, which it's phenomenal. I mean, it's CJ soft goods are they're killing it with these, and CJ is a nice dude, and his wife is fantastic as well. Keithlin is great, so it's great. Between CJ, what CJ Jessam is doing for their soft goods, what Strut Family Creations is doing for their soft goods, other people as well. Like, I'm a sucker for soft goods, especially wired stuff. Yeah, I mean, in the hood, I mean, if that's wired, like around the face, it's going to be such a fun piece. it wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't stay on this figure. I'm looking at these for like AWOC figures. I'll be totally honest. I'm looking at these for AWOC figures. I'm looking at the soft goods to sort of have them go on to, you know, a pail or something like that. I guess that makes sense, right? Greyborn, the soft goods could go to pail. The soft goods on Callie and Shun are also very nice. She's got the sort of cape and the skirt. The cape looks really, really nice. Great attention to detail. It looks to be, you know, two colored, the inside and the outside, with quite a lot of detailing, you know, as far as the stitching and stuff like that goes. And I think there's more of a shape to it than the pictures sort of do it justice. You can sort of see that there's a shape to this, but I think this is like the center line. And I think this is just how it's been sort of draped over the figure. I think, you know, there's probably more shaping on either side. And then again, you've got that great hood. So again, I'm kind of looking at this like, could I use this for another figure? The figure itself, you know, I take it or leave it. Great head sculpt, looks fantastic. But the sci-fi stuff that they're doing with Cosmic, it hasn't grabbed me yet. And I'm not saying never. I'm just saying for now, I can live without it. I can't collect all the things, right? That's my mantra. But yeah, the line looks great. In additional Four Horsemen news, we they also posted now. Why won't this? There it is. Okay. In additional Four Horsemen news, we got this picture posted on Instagram. I think it's on Facebook as well. You know, on their official channels, talking about the two heads that come with the retail wave. The retailer, what's it called? I want to get it right. The retailer appreciation wave, Father Christmas, is going to come with these two heads. Then they dropped a little note in there as well that says the color choices on these helmets were made specifically so fans could do some simple matches with figures like these, as well as some that are coming to your armies in the future. Some reinforcements, you could say. So most people have sort of taken that to mean that there's another reinforcements wave coming up. Um, that's the most exciting news that I've heard in Four Horsemen news for a good little while, because the reinforcement wave that came out, when was it? About a year ago now, just about. I think it was March of last year that they did reinforcement wave. Well-priced basic figures, re-releases and sort of reissues of existing figures. But they're usually like army builders, right? They're sort of non-named characters. I got goblins, I got orcs last time, but they had black knights. They did the barbarian. So there's potentially some really, really good stuff in there. And definitely there's some army builders that I would love to get. I really hope that this time around we get like a 2.0 figure, but we'll see. Paints toy samples, I'm likely all in. It gives me Mass Effect vibes. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, people that are into the cosmic stuff are seemingly reacting very, very well to this wave, which is really, really cool. Quip says so effing cool. You know, you guys were worried about me running out of gas. It's Oz you got to worry about. He's just been pounding coffee all day. We did another stream on Toy Connections this morning. Go check it out. We had a lot of fun chatting about in-store versus online buying patterns. Oz says the customizing community and Legions would definitely want the figure alone. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think I'll have a problem getting rid of the Greyborn, especially since I you know, I'll just sell it off to kind of recoup some cost. I don't necessarily need to make money off of it. Quip says, I'm not tempted enough to jump in on any of these, but I always appreciate a good Four Horsemen figure. Yeah, fair enough. And I'm kind of the same way. The cosmic stuff looks fantastic, but it doesn't grab me in the same way that Mythic Legions has. Oz, I want that Whiplash and Manny Faces homage characters, referring to, sorry, I'll jump back. I'll switch to this. I'll try. StreamYard gave me the ability to switch between pages back, and I'm really happy about it because it makes my life so much easier. Oz is referring, of course, to Scourge and Operative 83. So we get the Whiplash in a ogre scaled dragon, basically, and then and this multi-headed. Now it doesn't have it doesn't change. You have to pop the head off and put a different one on. But he does come with Manny faces. He comes with 3 faces, in fact, as well as the that cool kind of dome bubble helmet thing. They're cool figures. The cosmic. You know what's great about the cosmic stuff from the perspective of the Four Horsemen's tribute figures is that Motu has that balance of kind of fantasy and sci-fi already, right? Like it's already existing. So now with these parts that they're introducing with Cosmic, I think the tribute figures are only going to get better. Scourge is a great figure, and I'm kind of tempted by him as well. But I'm ordering a Rakagor, which is the big blue dragon man that's coming out in the Poxus wave. So do I need another dragon man? Not just yet. I can wait. I can wait. The last little bit of that way, like that Tusk pilot in that sort of bright red looks pretty good as well. But that last, like I said, that last bit of information, with the potential of a reinforcements wave, to me that's just a little bit more exciting. It's a little bit more enticing, because I'm still doing the mythic stuff, not so much the cosmic stuff. I also have to realize that buying a figure for just the soft goods is not always the best way to go, because they're gonna release another mythic figure that has great soft goods too. Like that's just the way it's gonna happen. I've started to learn that with my new mantra of I can't collect all the things. I've started to learn that if I pass on something, something better is probably going to come up at some point. And so then I'll kind of look back and, if I don't pull the trigger on something that I kind of want, something that I really want tends to come up. And then I feel less stress about, the budget, less about the amassing of the sort of quantity, the space danger, so on and so forth. And I like not having to have to sell something off. So as much as the idea of getting that Greyborn, taking the soft goods and then selling the figure off, I'm just lazy and I don't like having to sell off stuff. I get lots of stuff that I should sell that I just don't. I just sit on it because I'm too busy building Gundam models and doing videos, and I just don't take the time to sort of get it all set up. Austin says, really like the looks of Cosmic Legions, but unless I sell a whole line, I absolutely got no room for them. Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. Eternian says, Oz, you're a streaming beast. The last little bit of news this week came to us in the form of a list of leaked names. Nothing is confirmed, of course. Although I got to get rid of all these ads, all this stuff, just so much stuff. So this is from Toy News International, toynewsi.com, by way of JT Prime, who's always coming out with great leak lists. And generally speaking, JT Prime's lists pretty much are all real. They're all accurate. Where he gets them, I don't know. But we got a whole bunch of code names Now, this is a bit of an annoyance to me as somebody that has a list of code names for figures that I have sort of gathered information on what's coming. My list now gets thrown out the window because they've done this before where they basically replaced the code names that they do with the G.I. Joe Classified series with a new set just to mix it up, just in case people are figuring them out, and have lists in their phones of, you know, all those code names and all the sort of figures that are attached to character names. So now I got to go through my list and sort of reset it. But on the list, you know, there's some interesting stuff going on. We've got deluxe figures. We've got pet figures. So the like with pet, so like Snake Eyes and Timber, or Crocmaster and Fiona, or most recently the Scrap Iron with his pet anti-tank weapon thing. I guess it's his pet. We got a few retro listings in there, which is kind of curious. We were sort of under the impression initially that retro was kind of done. It kind of disappeared. We haven't heard any announcements recently. We also have 3 listings with VEH at the end, which are highly suspected to be vehicle ones. The size of those vehicles, we don't necessarily know. The 2 on the bottom there, Tom and Jerry, the 60. So that's the other thing is we've got some that don't have anything, so that they're all F and then 4 digits. GIJCS. So GIJCS has been it has been up till now, and so it's been GI Joe Classified series. And then we get sort of the descriptions. The deluxe tends to be, the ones with extra accessories. The with pet, like I said, is sort of those ones that either come with an animal companion or sort of a large accessory. The vehicle ones, I can't remember if Baroness and Coil had VEH on the end. I can't remember if Duke and Ram had VEH on the end or not. I can only assume that maybe one of those is the Televiper with Trouble Bubble. The other 2, I honestly don't know. And then we get, like I said, the retro, but then we get a couple things. So TNS, MM, HB, and 60. We don't necessarily know what those are. I had a thought and I didn't write it down. I had a thought for what a couple of those were. Retro, I think we can assume is probably retro carded again. 60th, maybe there's like a special box or a special card back. I'm very curious if they, to do 2 60th anniversary figures. I'm very curious which characters they would do, to be honest. Would it be as obvious as like Duke and Cobra Commander? Like, are those the 2 kind of faces for each side? I guess they're the leaders. I've heard suspicion that maybe they could do like a throwback to like the old original GI Joes. So, not characters from the vintage line or from the, Sunbow era or comic book era, but actually like, action soldier type things, which would also be, I think, pretty cool. MM, I had a thought of what MM was, and now it's just exited my brain. But anyway, TNS, MM, and HB, we will see. The only thing that I thought for MM, that's what it was. I just thought of it again. MM could be Mad Marauders. That's the only thing that I thought of. And now that we've got, Mad Marauders Barbecue, it makes sense that they would continue that deco. If that's the case, the 2 figures, MM Velma, MM Scrappy, take your pick of any sort of Joes that were in Slaughter's Marauders, or who knows, maybe they'll just pick random ones. And then MM Shaggy VEH, MM Scooby VEH. If those are in fact figure with vehicle, maybe those are just going to be repaints. Maybe those are Mad Marauders repaints of like the Ram and the Coil. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe we're going to get a new vehicle. Maybe we'll get a Mad Marauders Trouble Bubble. I don't know. But yeah, just you know, between the figures that are up for pre-order right now, if you haven't ordered them yet, go grab them from ecollectibles.ca. If you're in the Northern Outpost group, grab your figures and then go message in the group for the draw. Don't want to miss out on that one because it's pretty awesome. And so we've got those up for pre-order. Then we've got, digital renders. Then we've got, name only reveals. And now we've got these sort of code name leaks. There's so much stuff still coming. And I get excited to know that this line is just, it just keeps rolling. There's just more and more stuff. The Mad Marauder stuff, if that stuff is Mad Marauders, if MM is Mad Marauders, I'm cool with that. I'll probably pass on it, if I'm being perfectly honest, because the sub teams give me a little bit of a break. It's a little bit easier to pass on a repaint that's a sub team than an original character. But for the people that like that stuff, that color scheme is pretty fantastic. The blue, green, and brown looks really, really good. So I'm pretty excited for what's to come. And like I said, with this many sort of things coming up, you gotta be happy and sort of optimistic about what's coming up. Quip says, I dig the classic Hanna-Barbera code names. The code names for me, they could be anything. They could use any code names they want. As a fan of literature, I actually really like the previous code names that were all authors' names. But, I'm sad that they've changed the code names, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're code names for figures that I'm probably going to buy, and their figures have different names. So Oz is liking the names as well. Ken says, dang, it's making me curious whether I should wait or keep buying Gridiron Studio stuff. Well, I mean, the Gridiron Studio stuff is really, really nice. It just depends on sort of what style of figures you like, I suppose. I mean, the Gridiron stuff is a little more realistic. It's a little more accurate to like real world things, whereas the classified line tends to err a little bit on the side of near future. It's kind of the way I kind of look at it. But Quip said, Dastardly has got to be a bad guy with Dog Pet Pack. I'm not up to speed enough with G.I. Joe lore to connect all the dots. It could be. I mean, it could be. Hasbro's usually not so on the nose, but maybe they are. Maybe this is. I heard somebody say, like, what if, with them doing Hanna-Barbera cartoon character names, like what if somebody slips up and they pick like Sunbow G.I. Joe code names and they just name the characters by their names? Ken says, I'd love an action team commander. We could see it. That's the thing. We could potentially see it. 60th would be original line before Cobra and G.I. Joe Special Task Force. It could be. I mean, Scrappy or Scooby is probably Mutt and Junkyard. It could be, but I mean, I'm actually thinking that Dastardly Pet could be Mutt and Junkyard because it's Pet. That's the only one that's with Pet. Scrappy's not on that list. Scooby, I mean, yeah, it could be. Scooby could be, but with vehicles, so who knows? I don't know. Let's see. Oz says, I kind of want a classified series Scooby Gang now. HasLab Mystery Machine. I'm all in. Well, you could get a HasLab his tank, and repaint it like the Mystery Machine. You could go that route. You could do a full custom, because I don't think you're going to get it from Hasbro. Because Hasbro is so terrible and evil, and they are out to get us. That's a good transition. That's the last bit of news that I had. What do you guys like? What do you guys think? Of those leaks, I think it's safe to assume that like pretty much all the code names, or sorry, all the name reveals that we've had will very likely be in there. So what did we get last time for like Quick Kick? Big Boa, and what was the third? I'm drawing a blank. I should have written it down, but I mean, I imagine those are going to be in there. Televiper with Trouble Bubble should be in there. Oh, Mutton Junkyard. I was just talking about it. Man, my brain is fried. So of the list there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. We've had a decent number of names revealed. Yeah, good point. Quip Tunnel Rat, could very well be in there because we haven't had a release for Tunnel Rat. We haven't had a release for Low Light. So there's a very good chance that stuff is actually in there. So it seems like there's a lot, but maybe there isn't as many as we think. Quip saying, yeah, I was thinking if Dastardly kind of fits Mutton Junkyard, but I didn't. If these code names applied to figures that were already announced, they could, and they probably do. The other thing too is, if these code names are in, a Walmart system or a Target system or sort of some system, it's probably because those items are further along, right? You have to assume that the name reveals and the digital renders that we've seen are probably going to be in here. But like I said, we don't know yet because when they reset all the code names, everybody's list, I had a list of like all those author names and what they correlated to. And that's all gone out the window. And they changed the numbers to the best of my knowledge. It's the first time they've actually changed the number code. So that F and then 4-digit code, they were all F. I didn't write that down either. I think they were all F8000 something, and now they're all F9000 something. So they've hit the reset button with the code names as well as the numbers. So I'm completely in the dark which ones are which. Usually I'm talking about reveals and stuff like that, knowing already what they are and when they're coming out and all that kind of stuff. And now I don't know. I know stuff that's coming out and I have an idea of when. I just don't know how these code names correlate to those. So I'm looking into that. I'm trying to figure that out. But Oz says that would be a fun project. That would be a cool project too. Austin says, I don't think Hasbro is evil, but I do think they're out of touch. They got some pretty outrageous prices when you can get more stuff from other companies for the same price or even less. I will touch on that. And if I don't, remind me. Because I think it's less sinister than people believe. But anyway. Quip says, never mind. He was a render, not just a name drop. Tunnel Rat was, yes, but we haven't seen, like I said, we haven't seen they kind of keep their code names all the way up until they get released for pre-order. And because we don't have a pre-order yet for Tunnel Rat, one of those code names very well could be and very likely is Tunnel Rat. We don't know, what retail channel it's going to come through either. So that's part of it. Like some of those abbreviations at the MM, the MM, TNS, HB, like those often relate to the retail channel that they're going to be sold through. But those aren't any ones that I recognize. So I genuinely don't know where or what or when any of that stuff's coming out, which is kind of fun. Hitting the reset is fun. It gives me something to look forward to. It gives me something to sort of try to learn, try to figure out. Quip says, I could see Velma being Tunnel Rat. Now that I think about it, he'd be crawling around tunnels on his hands and knees in the dark like Velma looking for her glasses. Could be. Like I said, I've yet to see one where there was like an obvious correlation between the code name and the figure itself, the character itself. They tend... I think they just pick a list and then it's scattershot. I think they just kind of throw it at the figures because they wouldn't be great code names otherwise, right? I mean, if they were really easy to decipher, they wouldn't be great code names. Anyways, the main event, my soapbox rant. look, or you guys want to talk about more news? Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before I get into this? Like I said, I've just been thinking about this a lot, you know, in across different lines that I collect. Um, should I read this before I start? Maybe I'll read this before I start. Payne's Toy Sample said, I had a discussion about licensing fees when someone was really complaining on every video about pricing. Too many fail to understand that the extraction-based profits from large companies. Too many fail to understand the extraction-based profits. I don't quite understand what you're getting at there. Quit long sip. Buckle up, buttercups. No, I mean, you guys, like everybody in the chat, I recognize all your names. You guys have been here before. You know me. This is who I am. Like, I'm not, this isn't a character. I'm not sort of putting on a, I'm not putting on a front. I'm just genuinely this excited and this sort of upbeat about toys. But my throat is getting sore and dry. So now as I get into it, my voice is gonna get angrier. But I'm trying to figure this out before I move on, Payne. Oh, okay. Payne saying MBA are taught how to extract profit, not create growth. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, that's true. And you know, well, I'll sort of get to that. Anyway, the thing that's been sort of rattling around in my brain and that's been kind of driving me nuts because because toys are fun. Toys should be fun, and if they're not fun, I genuinely think you should move on. And you know, I'm not trying to be dismissive of people and sort of how they feel and so on, but you know, the idea that like we're being victimized by toy companies, and whether that toy company that you feel is victimizing you is one of the big ones like Hasbro or Mattel, or one of the small ones like, you know, Super 7 or take your pick. Those are the three that sort of come up the most about, like, you know, the price gouging, or it's extortionist pricing, or it's predatory, or you know, they're taking advantage of whatever. And this, you know, people say this all the time. You know, you know, you don't have to buy it. You vote with your wallet. If you think it's overpriced, don't buy it. And I 100% agree with that. But I mean, I would go further. I think there's more of a logical argument there, like against the people that sort of feel as though there's this like dastardly plan and there's sort of price gouging. It's, look, in my opinion, and this is all my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt if you want. In my opinion, well, this isn't my opinion. Toys are a want-based item. These are not a need-based item. This is not food or shelter. This is not, you know, life or death. You know, I don't need these toys. So when I say, you know, like move on, it's not as though I'm saying, you know, stop eating or start sleeping outside. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you don't have to eliminate something in your life that it's related to survival. These are want-based items. These are luxury items, whether you kind of want to believe that or not. It is a luxury that we can buy these at all. And as such, it can't be predatory. It's not price gouging. It's, you know, I mean, as Payne's Toy Samples has mentioned, you know, MBA are taught how to extract profits, not create growth, right? If Hasbro looks at the market and they see boutique brands selling action figures for 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 bucks, whatever the price that the market is willing to accept for a product, can you really blame them? And are you really that surprised that they would raise their prices to match? I'm not. I'm not saying I agree with it. don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to justify what anybody's doing. That's not my job. Um, I mean, I work in retail, so my job is retail. But as somebody that works in a retail space, trying to sell things to people, trying to sell things is what I do. And making more margin is great for business. And it makes my life easier if I can get the maximum amount of margin out of my product. That's what's happening. That's how this works. The idea that, there's nefarious intentions at work, that people, you know, that anybody is sitting in an office like a Scrooge, like an Ebenezer Scrooge type of person, like just counting their money and like, yeah, they want your money. That's their MO. That's what they're trying to do. They're a business. You're it gets said before, and people get dumped on for saying this. Feel free to disagree in the comments. Feel free to dislike the video. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Like I said, this is my opinion, and this is genuinely how I feel. They're out to maximize profitability. They're out to maximize their margins. If a company whose figure costs twice as much to make is selling at $30, and Hasbro goes, well, the market will allow a $30 action figure, and they raise their price to $30, then it's just down to you're picking which figure you like more. But you're angry that the big company is effectively leveraging that they're a big company. Like, they started out small and now they're big, and so they shouldn't make money. Like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. The victim mentality too is just so weird and so foreign to me. When you hear people talk about toy companies, it sounds like an abusive relationship that they're just choosing not to get out of. And it's just like, it boggles my mind that people would just continue to like live in this state of anger and resentment and like distrust of these companies. And even the companies that I think people love, right? The ones that seem to be immune to these criticisms. I've got bad news for you. They're also trying to increase their margins and increase their profits. Nobody's doing this just for kicks. If you own a business, you are trying to be profitable. Now, the way that gets sold to you, some companies do it really, really well. Some companies do it very, very poorly. The optics of how these companies work can be different. But I can assure you that every one of them wants your money. And I can assure you that if they can get more money from you, they will certainly try to do that. Somehow we're just more forgiving of the small guys, of the little guys. What I'm effectively saying, what I'm effectively suggesting is, I consider all of these people sort of in opposition to me as a person in respect to my bank account. I buy products from all of them, right? I got Mythic Legions, I got Marvel Legends, I got G.I. Joe Classified, I got on and on and on. I got other stuff, right? I got the SH figure arts, like I was talking about. I got the Gundam stuff. Well, those are both Bandai. Okay, so Bandai's getting my money too. I'm still waiting on my AWOC figures, but I'm happy to give them my money because I really like the figures. What it comes down to is, if you don't like the product, if you don't like the price, don't give them your money. That's it. That's the discussion. That's the balance of the equation. You either buy it or you don't. It's that simple. That's my rant. It wasn't that bad, right? I don't think it was. It wasn't offensive to anybody or whatever. But like I said, if it's not fun, why are you doing it? Why? I don't know. That's all I got. Let's check the comments. Let's see what you guys are reacting to, good or bad. I know people are going to disagree with me. I know that I sound like a shill. I know that I sound like an apologist for, major corporations. So be it. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I appreciate you guys all hanging out, watching my videos, stuff like that. But if you disagree with me, I'm not offended. I got thick enough skin. Um, Pain says hallelujah. I'm late getting that one, so I don't know what that's referring to. Pain says wait, it's not life or death. What am I doing with my life? No one needs toys. Yep, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Well, kids need some form of toys for developmental progress. True. But kids will play with a bucket or a stick or a rock. My kids are outside gluing pieces of wood to other pieces of wood. I don't know why. I don't know what the game is. I don't know what the end goal is. My other kid's got a wagon full of rocks. We live on a pretty big property, so they just wander around in the yard. So nobody needs toys. That's my point. You can create toys. Maybe that's it. Maybe we should all just create toys. Jason at Spiro Toys did. He said, I want these cool monkey toys. I'm gonna go and make them. And I want them too. Equip says, but us kidults, not so much. Exactly. Paints toy samples. Companies will always do what's in the best interest of the company, not the fans. Yes, 100%. And like I said, if people disagree with that, I they need to seriously look at whatever company they think is not doing that and objectively, ask themselves that question. Ethics comes into it, and there's certainly more ethical and less ethical companies, but genuinely, I don't think any of the toy companies are on the end of the spectrum that we need to really worry about. And people, yeah, they lay people off. Lots of companies do that. I don't think people realize how many Hasbro employees are just short-term contract workers either. Yeah, they laid off Corey, who was a big part of G.I. Joe Classified success. I've heard through friends of Corey's that he was bummed about that, but at the end of the day, he's not gonna starve. He's had offers. He's gonna work. It's not an issue. And he got a big severance check. So, as Matt Cardona says, it's not the toy friendship, it's the toy business. Yes, exactly. Quip says, why is my water so wet? Yeah, I mean, the discussion I had was about the 2-pack of Grogu and Luke being $43 US, and he was adamant it was Hasbro gouging people and then compared a classified scrap iron to it for accessories. I brought up licensing as eating away at accessories, and his response was, I'm tired of that excuse, but it's the truth. It is the truth. The licensing fees, and from what I've heard, the Star Wars and Marvel licensing fees are massive, and they went up big time recently from what I've heard. I've heard as much as 20%, which is bonkers. So you get 20% less in the box. I don't know. Do the math. Is that accurate? Did Scrap Iron have 20% less or 20% more stuff than that Luke and Grogu? I also think that Star Wars product pricing is completely jumped the shark. I think Star Wars. I think there's some accounting and business stuff going on with Star Wars that isn't happening in some of the other lines. It's bad in Marvel. It's worse in Star Wars. G.I. Joe seems to still be okay for the time being. We'll see. Payne says, I would have ranted with you. Thank you. I know, a lot of people, I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people let's be honest. If you're watching this, I mean, I recognize all your names. You guys are, you're right there with me. You're sort of in the same ballpark. Uh, Alice and Troy, that was a very gentle rant, but on point. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not looking to offend anybody or like. I just, it builds up, it builds up. I'm an admin in some Facebook groups too, and I try not to sort of get involved in those uh, conversations. I'll just call them conversations. This seems quip. This restaurant is gouging us on the steak. Look at how cheap the chicken is. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about like restaurants seem expensive relative to groceries, but I worked in restaurants too, and like their margins are even worse than toy margins. Oz says I agree wholeheartedly. Alice and Troy, 3D printer and 3D modeling classes for all. Yeah, but here's the thing: start figuring out what your costing is for that stuff. I think people just don't really know how much certain things cost. The weird thing is too, though, like the actual cost of producing an action figure. So a factory in China, right? Whether it's Luke and Grogu, whether it's scrap iron, whether it's a Super 7 Ultimates, whether it's whatever, we're talking about, you know, $10 for a figure, cost wise. So, if people knew those numbers, they would lose it because, putting all the numbers together as far as production costs of a figure, packaging, logistics of getting it from a factory to a toy shelf or to your door if you're ordering it online, the costs all add up. 3D printing, people go, I just 3D print it. It's like, you could, but that's still not cheap. Payne says I would guess 5 to 10 for basic characters, probably 20 for characters that sell. Boba Fett tax. Yeah, that could be the case. I think it's a blanket thing though. Like I think your licensing fee for the Star Wars name is probably, maybe it might be scaled. I don't know. But if that were the case, okay, then I guess my question would be, if that were the case, wouldn't we see more of the aliens and sort of the lesser known characters and less versions of Luke Skywalker? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. Tyler's here. Tyler says, do you think toy collectors get angry and scream price gouging because they think they need them? Want versus need can be very fuzzy with collectors. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of how I started off the rant, right? Like, these are luxury items. These are want-based items. These are not needs. People use the word need for the things that they want to buy. You don't need them. You do not need them. Um, I don't know. It is what it is. You want a badass margin? Try jewelry, 700% markup. Yeah, jewelry's wild. But again, it's a luxury item. The market will allow it. You want to talk about great marketing. Diamond rings were not a thing until like I think it's like as recently as like the 1970s or something like that. Like, you don't have to go very far back to when you could just buy any ring for your wife. Now you have to buy a diamond ring, and if you don't, you're a cheapskate. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That is not to do with toy collecting. But Payne, maybe why we see more TV-based figures. Possible. Like I said, it's possible. Star Wars is weird though, because they're always really late. They're still releasing what did they release recently? There was a character. I don't collect a lot of the Star Wars figures. I love Star Wars. I watch it all. I was gonna talk about The Mandalorian today, but people pointed out that not everybody's watched it, and I didn't want to be spoilery, so I didn't bother talking about Keller and Beck. But I want a Black Series Keller and Beck figure now. That's all I'll say about Mandalorian. But yeah, that might be part of it. But they're so, Star Wars is like, they're out to lunch, man. which is apropos. I think I read your comment, and it's subconsciously that's. I can eat this figure now if it's filling. No, but can I? Yeah, these don't keep you warm. They won't feed you. These are toys. These are this is such a first world problem. Complaining about being the victim of these incorrigible, horrible toy companies. The waters of can and should are as muddied as need and want. Yes. That's all I got, guys. That's rant over. We could talk about toy news for a few more minutes if you guys want. I still haven't finished my drink, so like I got nowhere to be. There's only an hour and 6 minutes, and I usually shoot for an hour, but we always go over. So Tyler says you're gonna get a Keller and Beck figure, just you wait. Yeah, here's my complaint. I want that. This is what I'm saying about Star Wars just completely being out to lunch and missing the boat. That figure should get announced next week, but it's going to get announced in 6 months, which is bonkers. Like, when that character is going to come up, when people are going to be thinking about that character. It should be right there on the shelf when strike while the iron's hot, as they say. For whatever reason, they can't get those figures out on time. There's probably a Razor Crest that's going to get announced next year or something like that. The thing blew up 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They'll keep you warm as they melt. I guess so. Eternian Ellipse says, interesting. So what you're really trying to say is all the times I said I really, really need a certain pair of Oakleys, according to your rant, you're saying essentially I did not need them. Wow. Yeah, I apologize. This might be life-changing for people. Maybe it shouldn't be. It's sad to say that it might be, but it shouldn't be. Larry, you're late. That's okay. You haven't missed anything. Just wrapping up. Paints toy samples. The Ant-Man wave coming in their summer is so yeah, there you go. Those toys should have been out already. That's Marvel's typically not as bad. Star Wars just seems to be like way off. Their scheduling just seems to be way off. Quip, give us an update on your AWOC delivery. Any movement? I imagine if we're mailman personally walking it across an Arctic tundra. My AWOC delivery, I still don't. I don't have a shipping notice. I'm still waiting on it to leave the Spiro warehouse, which I've assured it's going to be soon. I'm patiently waiting. I will patiently wait for a long time, but it's it does suck that I've been shouting about AWOC for months and months and months. Now everybody else has them. Lots of people that I told to get them have them, and they're sending me pictures and thanking me for telling them to get them, and I don't have mine. But that being said, Jason is very courteous, very generous, and he said that he is including. There's going to be a couple cool things in my delivery, so I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Allison Troy says, as a kid, my favorite Empire Strikes Back figures were Bespin, Leia, and Luke and Lando Calrissian, who came out 1 to 2 months before Empire came out. Unlimited imagination. Yeah, that's the thing. They used to release things early, and as recently as The Force Awakens, right? When they announced The Force Awakens like release date, and they had that sort of release, we got Rey, we got Finn, we got the new TIE fighter. So people were like super hyped, and everybody thought Finn was going to be the main character, right? It didn't turn out to be the case. But I just don't know why they can't do that. And I know that they're trying to keep it like spoiler free or whatever. But the trailers are out. You know what I mean? Like, I think once the trailers are out, the toys could be out. It doesn't make any logical sense to think that you can't release the figure for like a year after the movie's out or whatever. Attorney and Ellipse, my wife is laughing, saying, I've literally been trying. Uh, my wife is laughing, saying, I've literally been trying to. Okay, I got to rephrase this. I think I understand what you're saying. My wife is laughing, saying, I've literally been trying to tell you that. And she said she needed you a long time ago. Well, you could tell her she is welcome. Payne says, I got some and have the rest coming this week. And then I ordered some more accessories, sets from Spiro. I have digital comic waiting on my PC. The comics are fantastic. And that's, I have the comics to tide me over. I have my test shot head. I'm sort of slowly working on my, I'm doing like a physical, foam diorama version of the board game. I have the dimensions. I sort of have an idea of what I need for the game, for the tabletop game. So I've been working on that, and I'm happy to do that. This week I'm going to be working on my shelves. I got to clear a shelf off. One of the ones behind me is going to be an AWOC shelf. So I can fill my time. You've probably seen that meme. I think it's from Narcos, where he's eating his dinner by himself and he's just swinging by himself. Like that's me, right? Like I find things to do in the meantime. But I'm really, really excited to get those figures. And everybody talking about how great they are is great. It sort of reaffirms how great they're going to be when I get them. But I can't wait to get them in hand. I'm very, very excited. Quip, in response to Allison, said companies may be more worried about toys being spoilers now since their movies have become so formulaic. Yeah, I mean maybe, but like does the figure itself spoil the plot? I don't think so. Like Allison said, like our minds will sort of run wild with what we think a character might be, or like what role they might have. You have to keep in mind, right, with the action figures, when they released, what was it? There was like now I can't remember the name, but he had kind of like a domed hat, and he was some sort of like guard or like police security officer or something like that. And I remember seeing that figure and being like, man, I'm really excited to see what role he plays. And I think he was a background like extra. So, did that spoil that character that there was an action figure? I don't know. I mean, it's weird, man. Larry said, think about they release all toy for G.I. Joe 2, but then the movie. Yeah, and I've heard that that's like, so Hasbro's kind of policy shifted a little bit because of that movie. The toys were in store and then the movie got delayed because it was terrible. And so by the time the movie came out, the toys had come and gone, and so there wasn't that connection. Fair enough. I get it. Does it make sense? I don't know. I don't know. If you could take anything from this video, I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm just a guy. Just a guy ranting. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. That's all the 20s that I had. Thank you guys for joining me. It's fun having you guys in the chat, and it's good to be able to sort of interact with you guys. As I said, this is probably a bit of an echo chamber. I mean, I'm pretty sure that all you guys watching are watching, and you're familiar with sort of me and the fact that I was never going to say anything controversial. But it's been an absolute pleasure. I've had fun, and thank you for allowing me to do my little rant. But anyways, I'll just read these last couple comments, and then I'm gonna sign off here. Quip says, "Oh, I don't think so either. I was just joking. Most movies are remakes or sequels, yeah, or reimagining." Allison Troy said they probably sold more GI Joe movie toys with that delay, to be honest. That movie did not inspire me to buy the toys. I'd already picked up the ones I wanted. Yeah, I would say that you're probably accurate. The people that wanted G.I. Joe toys bought them, and then when they saw the movie, they probably wished they could return them. But at that point, it was too late. Ken says, did I miss the controversy? There was no controversy. That's Master Versal says, indeed, a great stream today. And until next time, good journey. And I will echo Eldor's sentiment. Good journey to you all. It's been a pleasure. Join me again, probably same time next week. Same place, same time. As I said, always great to have you guys. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you want to get notifications as far as when I do the open late videos, which are somewhat random, but somewhat not, hit that notification button. I will talk to you all again very, very soon. Until next time, bye-bye.